Sleep is the ultimate act of letting go, and the more we chase it, the more elusive it becomes. Sleep, inherently seen as the most natural state, is also one of the deepest mysteries of human life. Hetdack, a sleep therapist, penned The Science of Sleep. Stop chasing a good night's sleep and let it come to you, to take us on an extraordinary journey, deciphering layer by layer the biological, mental, and social mechanisms that make sleep a comprehensive mirror of our health and inner balance. This is not a quick-fix guide to sleeping faster, nor a list of evening rituals. This book goes further, stripping away misconceptions and explaining why sleep is the most crucial piece in the puzzle of health, while simultaneously showing how we can stop obsessing over it, allowing sleep to return as an innate instinct, pre-programmed in our bodies. But if sleep is innate, why do some people struggle their entire lives in bed? Why, as science advances, do more people suffer from insomnia? And the biggest paradox, could the very obsession with needing to sleep be the reason we can't sleep? Let's begin by summarizing this book. Part 1, The Basics of Sleep. There's something seemingly simple, yet powerful enough to govern an entire lifetime. Sleep. We spend almost a third of our lives lying still, eyes closed, our bodies in a state both familiar and mysterious. But the more I explore it, the more I realize sleep is not a static act. It's like a ballet in the dark, where billions of cells, hormones, and neural signals silently dance to keep us alive and healthy. I've spent hours with insomniac patients. Their eyes, bloodshot and heavy, would look at me as they recounted long, restless nights. Many told me they felt deprived of a fundamental human ability, the ability to let go, to drift off into sleep. They tried everything: herbal teas, turning off phones, medication, but the harder they tried, the more sleep eluded them. This revealed a paradox to me. The more people craved a full night's sleep, the more easily they lost it. And that's why I wrote this book, to bring you back to a truth. Sleep is an instinct, not an achievement. If you ask me what sleep is, I won't answer with a dry definition. Instead, I'll lead you into a world where your brain remains lit even as your body seems to sink. Inside your head, electrical impulses still flash, reorganizing memories, clearing out toxins, strengthening the immune system, regenerating energy. Sleep, in its most scientific sense, is a process of regeneration. And if you've ever woken up after a deep night's sleep, you'll understand that both mind and body are returned to a rare state of balance. Imagine, when you close your eyes, the following processes begin. Neurons in the brain emit signals to remove biological waste accumulated during the day. Growth hormones weave throughout the body, repairing tiny damages in muscles and joints. The immune system produces a T-cell army, warriors protecting you from viruses and bacteria. Your heart is relieved of pressure, blood pressure lowers, blood vessels rest. Even your skin silently regenerates so that the next morning, looking in the mirror, you see a fresher, calmer face. Sleep isn't just for survival, it's for living a full life. When you're sleep-deprived, you're not just tired. You'll be hungrier because appetite-controlling hormones are out of whack. You'll be more irritable because the emotional center of your brain doesn't get enough rest. Your memory will be worse, you'll learn slower, and every small task will feel overwhelming. If there were a medicine that could do all the opposite: sharpen memory, stabilize mood, strengthen immunity, energize the body, it would be sleep itself. Interestingly, sleep was once a colossal mystery. From ancient Greece, people speculated whether sleep was related to digestion or a form of brief death. But it wasn't until the 20th century, when science began measuring brain waves, that we saw sleep has different stages, each with its own rhythm and function. In 1950, REM, rapid eye movement, was discovered, the stage where your eyes move beneath your eyelids and vivid dreams occur. Dreams, once a mystical realm of Freud, became a subject of empirical study. Decades later, we learned more about melatonin, the hormone of darkness, about the 24-hour circadian rhythm controlled by light, and about strange genes that allow some people to thrive on less sleep. The history of sleep science is like an excavation. The deeper we dig, the more treasures we uncover. But one of the most persistent misconceptions is the golden 8 hours. Does everyone really need exactly 8 hours of sleep? Sleep is personal. A newborn needs up to 17 hours, a teenager needs more than 9 hours but is often woken too early for school. Adults typically range from 7 to 9 hours. Seniors may sleep less but need short naps during the day. Don't force yourself into a mold. Listen to your body. If you're constantly sluggish, needing coffee to get through the afternoon, that's a clear sign your body is sleep-deprived, even if your clock says you've been in bed long enough. I remember once meeting a patient who was exhausted from trying to maintain 8 hours at all costs. He'd count down, force himself to bed at 10 p.m., but toss and turn until almost 1 a.m., then agonize over having only 6 hours left until his alarm. The more anxious he became, the harder it was to sleep. I told him to stop looking at the clock. Let his body lead. A shorter but deeper natural sleep is better than hours of restless lying. Only when he let go of the obsession did he rediscover truly restful nights. By now, you've probably started to realize sleep isn't just flipping a switch. It's an intricate network of mechanisms. The circadian rhythm, controlled by light, keeps you awake during the day and drowsy as night falls. Sleep pressure gradually increases with each waking hour. Adenosine in the brain prompts you to drift off. When these two processes synchronize, the sleep gate opens and you enter a cycle. Within that cycle, 4 stages unfold: NREM1, NREM2, NREM3 deep sleep, and REM. Overnight, you go through 4 to 5 such cycles, and each cycle is different. Early in the night, there's more deep sleep. Towards morning, more dreaming. Dreams are perhaps the most captivating and bewildering part for many. When you dream, logic gives way to imagination, fragmented memories intermingle, emotions explode. Some view dreams as messages from the subconscious. Others see them as the brain practicing for dangerous situations. For me, dreams are proof that even in sleep, we remain creative beings. The only certainty when you dream is that your brain is still highly active, and dreaming is a sign that you've reached REM sleep, the foundation of complete rest. Some people are lucky, they never worry about sleep. They lie down and within minutes they're dreaming. They wake up feeling refreshed and take it for granted, like breathing. But for millions of others, sleep is a battle every night. I've heard bitter whispers. What did I do wrong to lose the ability to sleep? This comparison between easy sleepers and insomniacs has turned sleep into a benchmark, as if there's a universal formula. But the truth is, there's no universal sleep standard. Your sleep is as unique as your fingerprint. It's influenced by age, genetics, health, work, even the person sleeping next to you. Tonight you sleep well, tomorrow night you toss and turn. That doesn't mean you have a problem. We are often obsessed with an illusory standard called perfect sleep. But trust me, no one sleeps perfectly their entire life. And the most important thing is not how long you sleep, but how you feel when you wake up. A good night's sleep is measured by alertness and enthusiasm in the morning. If you wake up feeling restored, it was a good night. But if you wake up still heavy, mentally foggy, even if your clock recorded 8 hours in bed, that wasn't quality sleep. I've met many people who use sleep trackers. When the device reported poor sleep, they immediately panicked, even though they felt fine that morning. Machines can be wrong, your body isn't. Don't let numbers add to your anxiety. Anxiety is the enemy of sleep. When I talk about bad sleep, I don't mean it automatically signifies illness. Transient insomnia is normal, a part of life. Before an exam, an interview, a wedding day. Most of us have experienced it. The problem only becomes serious if this condition persists or is accompanied by unusual symptoms like loud snoring, sleep apnea, sleepwalking, or waking up multiple times with a racing heart. That's when you need to consult a specialist. But apart from those cases, a few restless nights are no disaster. They are a reminder that your body also has days when it doesn't follow the plan. To help patients redefine their relationship with sleep, I often introduce them to the concept of sleep hygiene. Don't let this term conjure images of something cold and sterile. In reality, it's simply a set of gentle habits that give your body the best chance to rest. I call them rituals of letting go. Imagine you are a conductor, and sleep only comes when your body's orchestra plays in harmony. You can cue it with small actions. For example, set a consistent bedtime and wake-up time, even on weekends. This regularity gradually becomes a familiar melody for your body to recognize. It's time to wind down. In the morning, go outside and absorb natural light. That light is the compass for your biological clock. In the afternoon, avoid coffee after 2 p.m. because caffeine stays in your bloodstream longer than you think. In the evening, look at your entertainment habits. an intense action movie, a work email, or a few minutes scrolling social media. All of these can overstimulate your brain and throw off its rhythm. Instead, try a book, slow music, or a few yoga poses. Don't underestimate details like your pillow, bed sheets, or the coolness of your bedroom. That comfort is a wonderful invitation to sleep. And remember, alcohol might make you drowsy, but it disrupts sleep cycles. Nicotine stimulates the nervous system. Noise, even subtle, erodes sleep in the long run. One piece of advice I always give: don't let sleep preparation turn into pressure. If you turn every step into a strict command, you'll fall back into the trap of obsession. Treat them as self-care rituals, a way of telling yourself, I deserve to rest. Another tool I often recommend is a sleep journal. Don't envision it as a rigid data sheet. Think of it as a mirror. You record, what time did you wake up today? When did you drink coffee? Did you exercise? What did you eat for dinner? How was your mood before bed? Then you record, how did you sleep that night? How many times did you wake up? And how did you feel in the morning? After a few weeks, you'll see patterns. Perhaps you'll realize that whenever you go for a run too late in the evening, you struggle to sleep. Or that after a stressful day, you tend to wake up at 3 a.m. The journal gives you clues. It also helps if you need to see a specialist, providing concrete evidence for them to understand your body. Most importantly, it puts you in the role of an observer of your own life, not a victim tormented by insomnia. I believe that, when you have the ability to observe, you've already begun to reclaim control. A patient once gave me a journal filled with dense writing. She recorded details so meticulously that even I was surprised. She noted stressful workdays, arguments with her partner, even evenings spent strolling under the moonlight. When we reviewed it together, a clear picture emerged. Every night after an argument, she slept poorly. Every night she took a warm bath and read a book, she slept well. This might sound obvious, but for her, it was a revelation. From then on, she no longer felt helpless. She had tools to make a change. So, before you reach for a sleeping pill, try picking up a pen. A journal can teach you more than any generic advice. As you begin to observe your sleep, a truth gradually becomes clear. Sleep doesn't exist in isolation. It reflects your entire life. Every meal, every step, every worry during the day leaves its mark on the night. Sleep is like a two-way mirror. It records the present and shapes tomorrow. I once met a young student who complained he was cursed because he suffered from chronic insomnia every exam season. We reviewed his journal together. It turned out that during peak weeks, he'd cram late into the night, eat erratically, and force his body to try and sleep early to be alert the next morning. But the human body doesn't yield to command. It needs to be guided, not dictated. When he changed, breaking his study time into smaller chunks, getting morning sun exposure, giving his body a few quiet minutes before bed, his sleep returned. He was surprised. Turns out I didn't lose the ability to sleep. I just forgot my natural rhythm. That's the key. Sleep isn't a skill you need to relearn from scratch. You already know how to sleep, from the moment you cried your first cry. What you need is to remove the obstacles that have gotten in the way. The screen light at midnight, mounting work pressure, coffee drunk too late in the afternoon, the lingering worries before closing your eyes. All these are like stones blocking the path between you and sleep. When you learn to observe, you'll know which stones need to be cleared. There's another paradox I've noticed over many years of work. Sleep comes easiest when we stop chasing it. Like a small bird, the more you reach out to grab it, the further it flies away. But if you remain still, patient, it will perch on your shoulder. When you stop thinking about 8 hours, when you stop checking the clock in the middle of the night, when you accept that a few bad nights don't define you, sleep will return as a natural reflex that already belongs to you. I know many people treat sleep as a task, a number to achieve, a leaderboard to compete on. But if you change your perspective, viewing it as a gift, a grace from your body, you'll see everything differently. You'll tend to it like a garden, just enough light, cool, damp soil, a steady rhythm. And then one day, you'll be surprised to realize those long, restless nights have receded, replaced by a sense of ease. I want you to try one small thing tonight. Before turning off the lights, ask yourself, what has my body experienced today? What does it need me to do to find peace? Perhaps it's a few minutes of deep breathing, a warm cup of tea, or simply an acknowledgement. I am tired. I give myself permission to rest. When you speak to your body this way, you and it are no longer adversaries, one wanting sleep, one resisting but allies. And then, sleep becomes a resonance, not a battle. Throughout this first section, I've walked you through the foundational building blocks: why we need sleep, the history of sleep science, the truly necessary amount of sleep, the intricate mechanisms of circadian rhythm and sleep pressure, the stages from light sleep to dreams, the difference between good sleep and insomnia, along with tools like sleep hygiene and the sleep journal. All of this isn't to turn you into an expert, but to make you realize you aren't broken, you just need to adjust. The road ahead will hold many more fascinating questions. Do newborns need sleep training? Why do teenagers fall asleep in broad daylight? How can someone going through menopause find sleep again? Why do we grind our teeth, snore, or sleepwalk? How do coffee, alcohol, essential oils, CBD, and blue light affect your sleep? And if sleep truly falters, what happens to the body and mind? But before we go further, I hope you hold on to one message from this foundational part. Sleep is not a reward for those who are good at control. Sleep is a birthright. Your body already knows how. Your task is simply to make room for it. When you understand that, you will begin to relearn an art that was once instinctual. The art of letting go and letting sleep find you. Part 2. The mechanisms of good sleep. There are moments when I quietly observe someone sleeping and realize that outwardly, the body seems still, but inwardly, a whole universe of mechanisms is at play. You can imagine sleep as a vast stage where thousands of biological characters appear at precisely the right time. We don't hear the music, we don't see the lights, but every movement unfolds with split-second precision, like a symphony that the body has rehearsed over millions of years of evolution. First, let's talk about the secret clock inside you, the circadian rhythm. People call it the circadian clock, a roughly 24-hour cycle designed to keep you in sync with Earth's light and darkness. Imagine a tiny conductor in your brain, deep within the hypothalamus, in a region called the suprachiasmatic nucleus, SCN. Each day, the SCN waits for signals from sunlight to tune its instruments, ensuring the entire body's orchestra, heart, lungs, hormones, digestion, plays in the right key. In the morning, when light hits the retina, signals travel to the SCN and it commands: produce cortisol, increase heart rate, wake this body. Towards evening, as light fades, the SCN whispers to the pineal gland: release melatonin, guide this body into darkness. That's why traveling across multiple time zones throws you off. The conductor hasn't had time to adjust, and the orchestra is out of sync. Parallel to the circadian rhythm is another driving force: sleep pressure. Imagine this: from the moment you open your eyes in the morning, an invisible hourglass begins to empty. The sand in that hourglass is called adenosine, accumulating in your brain every hour you're awake. The more adenosine, the sleepier you become until the sand fills. This pressure pushes you through the sleep gate. When you sleep, the hourglass flips and adenosine gradually clears until you wake up and the cycle begins again. This is process S, the homeostatic process. The magic happens when process C, circadian rhythm, and process S, sleep pressure, join forces. When the light dims, the SCN rings the bell for melatonin, and adenosine has reached its threshold. Both together open the sleep gate, the doorway into sleep. But if one of them malfunctions, you immediately see the consequences. Drinking a late afternoon coffee, caffeine blocks adenosine's journey. The hourglass still fills, but you don't feel sleepy. Staring at your phone screen at midnight. Blue light tricks the SCN into thinking the sun hasn't set yet. Melatonin is inhibited, the gate doesn't open, and you toss and turn. In the middle of the night, once you've drifted off, a multi-act play begins, the stages of sleep. You don't just fall into one continuous state, your body takes you through 4 resting stations. First is NREM1, the blurry stage between waking and sleeping. You're easily startled, sometimes feeling like you're falling, muscles twitching. Next is NREM2, light but important sleep, where your brain fires off sleep spindles, electrical waves that help consolidate memories, as if saving files to a hard drive. Then comes NREM3, deep sleep, where the body truly plunges into recovery. Growth hormone is released, cells repair damage, energy reserves are replenished. This is the sleep that makes you wake up feeling truly rested. Finally, there's REM, the stage where your eyes dart rapidly, and your brain is as active as when you're awake. Memories and emotions intertwine into dreams. Overnight, you cycle through 4 or 5 such rounds. The first half of the night is rich in NREM3, the latter half full of REM. That's why dreams often surge towards morning, when you're easily pulled out of a world of strange images by an alarm clock. And then there's a fascinating thing. Hormones are the orchestra instruments and sleep is the music. Norepinephrine, as mentioned, is the percussion instrument, drumming the rhythm of sleepiness. Cortisol, conversely, is the brass horn sounding in the morning to wake you. Serotonin regulates mood during the day, then transforms into melatonin at night. Oxytocin, the hormone of love, calms nerve rhythms, lulling you into tranquility. Growth hormone, prolactin, all are secreted most powerfully when you've fallen into deep sleep. A patient once asked me, "Why do I eat more when I sleep less and always crave sweets?" I smiled. When you're sleep deprived, leptin, the hormone signaling fullness, decreases, while ghrelin, the hormone signaling hunger, increases. Your body, fearing an energy deficit, urges you to eat more to compensate for what it's lost: sleep. But paradoxically, the more sleep deprived you are, the easier it is to gain weight. All these mechanisms aren't meant to frighten you, but to help you understand. Sleep is not lazy. It's a bustling construction site where every night shift works for you. When you close your eyes, a silent army repairs, cleans, remembers, and protects. And the more you value and protect your sleep, the more effectively that army can work. If the sleep stages are the skeleton, then dreams are the soul of the night. How many times have you woken up, heart pounding, from a strange dream, feeling both fear and excitement? How many times have you wondered, why did I dream this? Scientists have debated this question for centuries. Freud believed dreams were a pathway to the unconscious, hiding repressed desires. Today, we view dreams more practically. They can be the brain's way of processing memories, clearing out excess information, or practicing emotional responses in a safe environment. I often tell patients that dreams are like a theater where the brain stages scenes for you to rehearse, so you're ready for tomorrow. But don't think dreams are just for entertainment. When you dream, the amygdala, the emotional center, is highly active, while the logical control region decreases. This allows your brain to play with painful experiences, alleviating stress. Some studies even suggest that dreams enhance creativity, connecting disparate ideas into surprising innovations. The only thing for sure is that when you dream, your brain is working hard, and dreaming is a sign you've reached REM sleep, the foundation of comprehensive rest. So what constitutes good sleep? Many simply think, enough hours, but the reality is far more complex. Good sleep is when you go through enough cycles, when deep sleep and REM are in appropriate proportion, and when you wake up feeling both physically and mentally restored. I once met a patient who slept 8 hours every night but still felt sluggish. It turned out he had sleep apnea, causing his sleep to be constantly interrupted. Conversely, some people only sleep 6 hours but are effective, waking up full of energy. What matters is quality, not quantity. Poor sleep isn't just about short hours. It's when you wake up multiple times during the night, when you can't fall into deep sleep, when you drag yourself through the morning as if you hadn't slept at all. And sadly, many people have grown so accustomed to this feeling that they consider it normal, they no longer remember what it's like to wake up with enthusiasm. To reclaim good sleep, you need to build habits, not fleeting tips, but routines repeated until your body remembers. I often call it the language of sleep. Try writing your own unique score. Start by choosing a fixed bedtime as if you're scheduling an appointment with sleep every evening. Before that time, create small rituals. Turn off screens, brew an herbal tea, read a few pages, take a deep breath. Don't underestimate these simple actions. They are signals to your brain, night has come. Relax. Light is both enemy and ally. During the day, let your body bask in natural light. It helps the SCN regulate your circadian rhythm. In the evening, dim the lights, especially blue light from screens. Many of my patients were skeptical until they tried a week of turning off their phones an hour before bed. The result? They fell asleep faster, slept deeper, and dreamed more. Caffeine, alcohol, nicotine, 3 of the most common disruptors. Caffeine blocks adenosine, preventing you from feeling sleepy even when the hourglass is full. Alcohol makes you fall asleep faster but disrupts your REM cycle, leaving you tired the next morning. Nicotine stimulates the nervous system, hindering relaxation. I'm not saying you must give them up entirely, but recognize their effects to choose appropriate times. And perhaps most importantly, let your body move. Even a brisk walk during the day is enough to improve nighttime sleep. But be careful not to exercise too late. When your body is pumping adrenaline, it can be hard to drift off. Listen to yourself, choose the right time. I remember a middle-aged woman who complained she had tried everything but still couldn't sleep. When we reviewed her routine, it turned out she carried work worries to bed every night. She checked emails until late, her mind racing with to-do lists. I advised her, write them down, put the list on your desk, and tell yourself you'll deal with them tomorrow morning. Tonight, let your brain take a vacation. She tried it, and after a few weeks, her sleep returned. It was that simple. Forming good sleep habits isn't a grand project. It's a series of small, patiently repeated changes until your body remembers. One day, you'll realize you no longer have to try to sleep. You just relax, and sleep comes naturally. I often tell patients to view sleep as a journey, and like any journey, you'll get lost without a map. A sleep journal is that map, not to control every detail, but to illuminate the dark paths where you often stumble unknowingly. Imagine sitting down each morning for just a few minutes and jotting down. What time did you wake up yesterday? What did you eat for dinner? Did you drink coffee or alcohol? Did you exercise? How was your mood before bed? Then add, how long did it take to fall asleep? How many times did you wake up that night? How did you feel this morning? Day after day, these small notes gradually become a mirror reflecting your life. One of my patients, a man in his 40s, once brought me a thick notebook filled with writing. He had recorded every detail for months. As we read through it together, a clear picture emerged. On days he had stressful late-night meetings, he always tossed and turned that night. On days he woke up early to swim, he slept deeply. This opened a door to understanding. Sleep was not a random enemy but a loyal ally, reacting to every choice he made during the day. Don't worry about writing long entries. A few bullet points are enough. Consistency is key, because only by looking back after a week or a month will you see recurring patterns. And once you see them, you can change. If you realize that drinking coffee after 3 p.m. makes it hard to sleep, you'll know to stop earlier. If you realize that exercising too late in the evening causes you to toss and turn, you'll choose a different time slot. The journal turns vague notions into obvious truths. Moreover, journaling also helps free the mind. Many people I've met say they lie in bed, their minds racing with to-do lists, anxieties, and plans. When I suggested they write it all down before bed, they scoffed, but then they tried it. And something strange happened. Once their thoughts were on paper, their brains relaxed. They no longer feared forgetting something or not having enough time to do it. The paper held it for them, and they were allowed to rest. Some people told me that journaling made them pay more attention to sleep and become more anxious when they saw they weren't sleeping well. I understand that fear, but I remind them, the journal isn't a judgment, it's a reminder. Write with curiosity, not judgment. You slept poorly tonight? Okay, tomorrow, let's see what led to that. That's not a failure, it's data. And data is always useful. A sleep journal also becomes a bridge between you and your doctor. If you need medical support when you bring those pages, you're not just telling a story, you're showing an objective picture. It helps the diagnostic process be faster and more accurate. But more importantly, it helps you feel less helpless. You're not just being tormented by sleep, you are actively observing, learning, and adjusting. An elderly woman once told me, I thought I had no control over my sleep, but when I started writing, I realized I still had choices. That statement deeply touched me because that's the essence of this journey, reclaiming control. When you embark on the path of keeping a sleep journal, you are training yourself in a rare ability in the modern age, the ability to listen to your body, listen to your mind, and realize that they are not separate. A stressful day manifests as a restless night. A calm afternoon transforms into a peaceful dream. When you understand that connection, you'll know how to care for yourself in a more subtle way. This section concludes with a simple message. Sleep is not just a biological reflex, it is a mirror reflecting your entire life. If you want to sleep well, don't just focus on a few hours in bed. Look at your whole day, your rhythm, your small choices. And if you want to start somewhere, pick up a pen. Because when you write, you are gradually redrawing the map that leads you back to a peaceful night's sleep. Part 3. Understanding your own sleep. Have you ever been surprised to realize that some people sleep 6 hours and are alert all day, while you sleep 8 hours and still yawn? Some prefer to go to bed very early, while others only feel their minds sharp at midnight. Even within a single family, sleep habits can be remarkably different, as if each person is programmed by their own unique clock. That's not an illusion. Sleep, like a fingerprint, carries each person's unique identity. And this is important. You cannot impose your sleep patterns based on someone else's mold. I've met countless patients who suffer from comparing themselves. One man complained, "My wife sleeps 7 hours and is alert, but I need 9 hours to feel my mind working. Is there something wrong with me?" The answer is there's nothing wrong. Genes, hormones, circadian rhythm, work, life circumstances all combine into a unique formula for each person. So your task is not to chase the standards of 8 hours of sleep or waking up at 5 a.m. to be successful. Your task is to understand your own sleep. How do you understand it? By observing. A sleep journal can become a powerful tool. You record your bedtime, wake-up time, sleep quality, mood, and daytime habits. After just a few weeks, patterns will emerge. You sleep better after morning exercise, or you tend to toss and turn if you drink coffee after 3 p.m. A woman in her 50s once told me, "I used to think I was a failure because I couldn't sleep early like others. But when I kept a journal, I realized my body naturally operates like a night owl. If I allow myself to be productive in the evening and sleep a bit later, I'm still healthy. I just need to accept that it's my rhythm." This story illustrates a truth we often overlook. Sleep is individualized. You can learn from science, from advice, from others' experiences. But ultimately, you must return to your own body. And if you listen long enough, you'll discover that your body always leaves clues. Prolonged sluggishness signals you haven't slept deeply enough. An easily irritable mood suggests you're lacking REM sleep. A mid-morning drowsiness reminds you that you went to bed too late yesterday. These aren't faults, they're signals for you to adjust. I want you to try seeing sleep as a dialogue. Your body speaks to you through sensations. You respond with actions. If you ignore it, the dialogue turns into an argument. Insomnia, fatigue, anxiety. But if you listen, the dialogue becomes complete. You sleep, your body recovers, and the new day arrives with clarity. However, understanding sleep doesn't stop in the present. It's also linked to the stages of life. Sleep is not fixed. It changes with age, just like hair gradually turns gray or skin changes color. A newborn sleeps up to 17 hours a day. A teenager, though needing a lot of sleep, struggles with an early school schedule. A pregnant woman experiences restless sleep due to bodily changes. A middle-aged man faces work stress. A woman going through menopause is affected by hormonal fluctuations, and an elderly person often complains that they no longer sleep as deeply as before. Each stage of sleep takes on a new form. Understanding this will stop you from blaming yourself. You'll realize that there's no universal ideal sleep. There are peaceful nights, and there are restless nights. Both belong to the human journey. I remember a young couple who came to see me. They had just had a baby. The wife was sobbing, "I've read so many parenting books, but no one told me I would be this exhausted from lack of sleep." The husband felt helpless, unsure how to help. I told them, "You're not doing anything wrong. This is a phase where your sleep is forced to change. See it as part of the parenting journey, rather than a personal failure." When they understood this, they gradually learned to take turns, nap whenever possible, and accept that the first few years of their child's life would be different. Sleep, then, is a mirror reflecting each stage of life. And only when you view sleep in the context of age, circumstances, and your body will you truly understand your own sleep. Let's start with newborns. These tiny beings seem to only sleep and feed. A newborn can sleep up to 17 hours a day, but that sleep is fragmented, restless, and follows no pattern. You might see them sleeping soundly, only to stir and cry 10 minutes later, demanding milk. This exhausts many parents, making them wonder if there's a way to teach their baby to sleep through the night. The answer is, in the first few months, don't force it. A newborn's brain isn't mature enough to distinguish day from night, and their bodies need to wake frequently to refuel for rapid development. Sleep training, too early, is not only useless but can also cause stress for both parents and child. Instead, think simply, you're not training, you're accompanying them. Create a quiet environment, soft, light, gentle cradling. That's the best way for babies to gradually learn that nighttime is for rest. As the baby grows into the toddler stage, sleep presents a new challenge. You'll see a familiar scene. The child is sleepy, eyes drooping, yet still resisting bedtime. Why? Because they're learning to control their world, and refusing to sleep is one of their first acts of defiance. Additionally, teething, learning to talk, learning to walk, all these developmental milestones keep a child's brain so busy that it's hard for them to relax into sleep. Parents often ask me, how can I get my child to sleep through the night? The answer isn't simple, but there's a key: consistency. When you maintain a regular bedtime and a familiar pre-sleep ritual, for example, a warm bath, reading a story, singing a lullaby, the child's body will learn to respond. These rituals are like bridges guiding the child from the waking world to the land of sleep. When children enter school age, roughly 6–13 years old, sleep remains vital for development. But this is also when society begins to interfere: homework, extracurricular activities, and blue light from screens. Children need about 9–11 hours of sleep, but in reality, many only get 8 hours or less. The result? Difficulty waking up in the morning, sluggishness in class, and sometimes even being labeled lazy. In truth, it's not laziness but chronic sleep deprivation. Moving into adolescence, everything becomes more complex. The puberty body shifts its circadian rhythm, making teenagers want to stay up late and sleep in. But school still starts at 7 a.m. The result is a generation of chronically sleep-deprived teenagers. I once chatted with a 16-year-old student who told me he often fell asleep in math class, even though he tried to go to bed at 11 p.m. the night before. In reality, his biological clock wasn't ready to sleep at that hour. His body only started secreting melatonin later than adults. Add to that the pressure from exams, social media, and bright phones by the bed, and teenagers are even more likely to fall into a cycle of sleep deprivation. Research shows that sleep directly affects learning ability and memory. A full night's sleep allows the brain to consolidate learned knowledge, like saving files to a hard drive. Conversely, sleep deprivation overloads short-term memory and reduces concentration. So a teenager studying all night might think they're being diligent, but in fact, they're stealing tomorrow's achievements. I once advised a family whose teenage son frequently studied until 2 a.m., let him get enough sleep, and you'll see his grades improve. They were surprised, but after adjusting his sleep schedule and reducing electronic devices in the evening, the boy started learning more effectively. This story reminds us that learning isn't just about textbooks, it's also the art of resting. And here's one last thing about teenagers: daytime sleepiness. Many parents complain, "My child is dozing off during the day, how lazy." But in fact, that's a sign of accumulated sleep deprivation. When the body doesn't get enough recovery time at night, it's forced to steal moments during the day to patch things up. View your child's naps not as a bad habit, but as a cry for help. Thus, through the first 3 stages of life: infancy, childhood, adolescence, we see one clear thing: sleep changes constantly, and the important thing isn't to force yourself into a mold, but to understand what your current stage or your child's stage needs. When you leave adolescence and enter adulthood, sleep usually becomes more stable. But stable doesn't mean easy. Work, relationships, social pressures all begin to occupy your mind. At this stage, sleep is dangerously underestimated. You stay up late to finish projects. You cut a few hours of sleep to make it to the morning gym class. You use coffee as a crutch to get through the long day. Gradually, you convince yourself that sleeping less is normal, but your body isn't fooled. Memory declines, skin dulls, mood becomes erratic, and health silently deteriorates. A 35-year-old man once told me, "I thought I was strong, sleeping 5 hours a night and still working 14 hours. But then I discovered I had high blood pressure." That was no coincidence. Long-term sleep deprivation ravages the cardiovascular system, and the body pays the price sooner or later. Then comes pregnancy, and sleep is violently disrupted again. Women face fluctuating hormones, a heavy body, nocturnal urination, and sometimes a vague anxiety about the unborn child. Many pregnant women tell me, "I haven't even given birth yet, and I'm already exhausted from lack of sleep." I always tell them to be gentle with themselves, not to compare to previous stages. Take advantage of daytime naps. Let your body rest whenever possible. This isn't weakness, it's adaptation. When the child is born, parents enter a completely new phase: chronic sleep deprivation. I've seen many young mothers panic, believing they'll never have a peaceful night's sleep again. They are both exhausted and tormented. "I'm not good enough because I'm too tired to care for my child." But the truth is, sleep deprivation during this period is normal. No one can maintain perfect health when waking up 5–6 times a night. The only secret is to take turns with your partner, nap when you can. And most importantly, don't blame yourself. This is a challenge, but also part of the parenting journey. Then another turning point arrives: menopause. Many women describe this stage as a hormonal storm blowing away sleep itself. They wake up in the middle of the night with hot flashes, sweating, a racing heart. Some also fall into depression or anxiety, making sleep even more fragile. I've sat with these women, listening to them recount their feelings of helplessness as their bed, once a peaceful sanctuary, becomes a battlefield. The first thing I tell them is, you're not crazy and you're not alone. There are methods, from medical to lifestyle, that can help. Keeping the room cool, avoiding caffeine, practicing breathing exercises, or discussing hormone therapy with a doctor. But above all, there needs to be understanding. This is a natural change in the body, not a personal failure. Finally, we come to old age. Many older people complain that they no longer sleep as deeply as they used to, or they wake up very early. The truth is, sleep decreases with age, but that doesn't mean a loss of health. The body no longer needs as much recovery time as before, and short daytime naps can partially compensate. The problem only arises when older people worry excessively. I only sleep 5 hours. I must be getting sick. It is that fear that steals sleep. I often say, if you wake up and still feel enough energy for the new day, then you've slept enough for your body. Sleep throughout life is a constantly changing journey. It has no single model, no golden standard for everyone. It's like a companion, sometimes warm, sometimes distant, but always present. Understanding this will stop you from chasing perfection and help you learn to accept your own sleep at each stage. Sleep is not a straight line, but a life cycle. From the cry of a newborn to the gate of old age, each stage leaves its own mark on the night. And if you know how to listen, you will find peace even on short nights. Part 4, Mind and Body. When I began studying sleep, what surprised me most wasn't the statistics or brainwave charts. What fascinated me was how the body and mind weave a complex symphony, where even the smallest detail can determine whether you sleep peacefully or toss and turn tonight. Have you ever wondered why we yawn? This act seems meaningless, but is one of the oldest mysteries of human science. Humans yawn, animals yawn, even fetuses in the womb yawn. One theory suggests yawning helps replenish oxygen when we're bored, as breathing is often shallower then. Others believe yawning helps cool the brain. When sleep-deprived, brain temperature rises, and a deep yawn is like a fleeting breeze across a hot brain. Yawning can also be a sign of empathy. When we see others yawn, we yawn too. Research even suggests that those lacking empathy, such as people with antisocial personality disorder, often resist this contagion. So next time you yawn after someone else, remember it's not just a reflex. It's proof you still know how to empathize. Then to another question, why do we close our eyes to sleep? The answer seems obvious, because of light. But deeper than that, closing our eyes is how the brain shuts itself off from the outside world. When eyelids close, the muscles around the eyes relax. The nervous system receives a signal that it's time to slow down. There are rare cases where people sleep with their eyes open, but those are unusual exceptions. Most of us need the dark curtain of our eyelids to disconnect from the world and safely go inward. However, not all bodily activities during sleep are gentle. One common phenomenon is teeth grinding, bruxism. Many are startled to discover they clench their jaws tight every night, leading to morning jaw pain and worn enamel. The cause can stem from stress, a misaligned bite, or complex brain disorders. Teeth grinding often occurs in light sleep stages when the brain is still easily stimulated. Sometimes it's also linked to anxiety, as if even in sleep, the body can't quite let go. Another phenomenon that frightens many is sleep paralysis, where the mind wakes up but the body remains completely bound. You open your eyes, you know you're in your room, but you can't move. Some even hear strange sounds or feel someone standing next to the bed. Historically, this phenomenon was linked to ghosts or supernatural forces. Science explains it more simply. During REM sleep, to prevent the body from acting out dreams, the brain inhibits muscles. Sometimes this process gets out of sync, the mind wakes up before the body, resulting in the experience of sleep paralysis. It's scary but harmless. And when you understand this, the fear lessens. What about the sensation of falling just as you're about to drift off to sleep? That's a hypnic jerk, a sudden muscle spasm. There are many explanations: muscles relaxing too quickly, the brain misinterpreting it as falling and sending a jolt to protect you. What's strange is that many people feel like they're dreaming of falling, from a chair, downstairs, then jolt awake at that exact moment. dream and body synchronize for a fleeting instant, proving how intimately connected our brain and body truly are. When it comes to sleep, it's hard not to mention snoring. Snoring can be a family joke, but it can also be a burden. Snoring occurs when airflow through the throat is obstructed, causing tissues to vibrate. For some, snoring is just an annoyance, but for others, it's a sign of sleep apnea, where the airway temporarily blocks, forcing the brain to wake the body to breathe. The consequence is sleep fragmented dozens of times each night, leading to daytime fatigue, poor memory, and even increased risk of cardiovascular disease. Many patients don't know they have sleep apnea until their partner, alarmed, reports that they stopped breathing for a few seconds, prompting them to seek help. Even body temperature doesn't sit out the game. Have you ever woken up in the middle of the night feeling too hot or too cold? During sleep, our body temperature usually drops a few degrees to help conserve energy and go deeper into recovery. But hormones, environment, or illness can cause temperature to fluctuate abnormally. Hot flashes during menopause or freezing feet in winter can both disrupt sleep. That's why regulating room temperature and choosing appropriate bedding are so important. And perhaps you've also wondered why you're more of a night owl than others. The answer lies in chronotype, the biological rhythm programmed in your genes. Some people are larks, most alert in the morning. Others are night owls, creative and sharp late at night. This isn't a bad habit, it's a biological predisposition. The problem only arises when society imposes an 8 a.m. clock on everyone, making night owls always feel out of sync. Understanding your chronotype helps you blame yourself less and learn to arrange your life to better suit your body's nature. When I meet a patient who constantly tosses and turns every night, my first question is often, "Do you exercise during the day?" It sounds simple, but exercise and sleep are intimately linked. When you exercise, your body temperature rises, your heart beats faster, adrenaline surges. Then, a few hours later, as your temperature drops, that's a signal for your body to prepare for rest. Those who exercise regularly often experience deeper sleep and fall asleep more easily. But if you exercise too late, especially with intense workouts like sprinting or weightlifting, your body remains stressed and your brain can't turn off immediately. Balance is key here. Adequate exercise at the right time is like a prelude inviting sleep. Another often overlooked factor is the immune system. Do you remember the last time you had a cold or flu? Most of us feel sleepier than usual. That's because the body releases cytokines, signaling proteins that both fight bacteria and encourage you to lie still and rest. Sleep, in a sense, is part of the body's innate healing therapy. But the reverse is also true. Sleep deprivation weakens the immune system. After just a few nights of poor sleep, the body's ability to produce T cells decreases, and you become more susceptible to illness. One study even showed that people who slept less than 6 hours were 4 times more likely to catch a cold than those who slept enough. So, going to bed early can sometimes be the most powerful preventive medicine. Then there are patients who come to me complaining of restless sleep, always anxious, with a racing heart. After tests, it turns out the problem lies with their thyroid gland. An overactive thyroid can make the body feel like it's accelerating, making it hard to sleep, causing sweating and fatigue. Conversely, an underactive thyroid can cause chronic drowsiness. This is proof that sleep cannot be separated from the body. When a small organ like the thyroid is out of balance, your entire nocturnal rhythm is affected. A question many people are interested in: does sleep deprivation make you gain weight? The answer is yes. When you sleep less, leptin, the hormone signaling fullness, decreases, while ghrelin, the hormone signaling hunger, increases. As a result, you crave more food, especially sweets and carbohydrates. At the same time, sleep deprivation reduces insulin sensitivity, making the body more prone to storing fat. Many people fall into a vicious cycle: sleep less, eat more, gain weight, snore louder, or develop sleep apnea, leading to even more sleep deprivation. Breaking this cycle sometimes doesn't start with diet, but with restoring sleep. We also can't ignore the connection between sex and sleep. For centuries, people have whispered about how intimacy helps with better sleep, and modern science agrees. After orgasm, the body releases oxytocin, a bonding and relaxing hormone, along with prolactin, making it easier to drift off to sleep. In women, hormonal fluctuations throughout the menstrual cycle also strongly affect sleep. Many experience insomnia before their period due to a drop in progesterone, a hormone that helps the body relax. In men, prolonged sleep deprivation reduces testosterone, leading to a decrease in libido. All this demonstrates that sleep and sex are not just two parallel needs, but two intertwined currents that nourish both physical and mental health. I once met a couple who complained they were growing apart. When we analyzed it together, it turned out the root was sleepless nights. The husband snored, the wife tossed and turned, both were exhausted, impatient, and lacked desire. When they found ways to improve their sleep, from treating snoring to establishing a shared bedtime, their relationship gradually recovered. This story reminds us that sleep is not just a personal matter, but an invisible thread connecting the people we love. And somewhere in those conversations with patients, I often hear a vague but haunting question: will I ever get good sleep again? I always answer, yes, if you're patient. The human body has a miraculous ability to heal itself. But to do so, you need to understand the complex relationship between your mind, body, and sleep connections that seem separate but are in fact inextricably linked. Have you ever woken up in the middle of the night, looked at the clock, and seen it was exactly 3 a.m.? Many patients tell me this is the witching hour when all worries seem magnified. They say, during the day I don't think the problem is that bad, but at 3 a.m. it suddenly turns into a catastrophe. Science has an explanation. In the latter half of the night, cortisol, the stress hormone, is still low. The brain is more susceptible to negative thoughts. The dim light of night makes everything seem eerier. But the truth is, if you can accept this waking hour as a natural part of the night, you'll be less afraid of it. Instead of tossing and turning, get up, read a few pages, or write down what's bothering you. When the brain is cleared, sleep often returns. Some people also say, I sit on the sofa, my eyes drooping, and doze off. But when I get into bed, I'm wide awake. This is a common paradox. On the sofa, you don't feel pressure to sleep, so your body easily relaxes. But when you lie down in bed, your mind screams, you must sleep now. And that very pressure destroys sleep. This is why, in cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia, CBTI, an important principle is to only go to bed when you are truly sleepy. Don't turn your bed into a place of stress. It should only be associated with two things: sleep and intimacy. Another question: why don't I remember my dreams? Some dream vividly, remembering every detail. Others wake up to a blank slate. In reality, most of us dream every night, especially during the REM stage. But to remember a dream, you need to wake up during or immediately after REM. If you wake from another stage, the dream memory dissipates like smoke. Many people worry when they don't remember dreams, but in fact, it's not harmful. The brain has still completed its work in the dream, even if you don't carry any images with you. But sometimes, dreams become a dark shadow, nightmares. When stressed, depressed, or traumatized, the brain transforms painful memories into terrifying dreams. A soldier once told me, I keep dreaming I'm back on the battlefield. For them, dreaming is a repetition of trauma. In these cases, dreams are not just neural games, they are signs of PTSD. Therapies like CBTI can help by reestablishing a safe relationship with dreams. Some also ask me, can I learn to lucid dream? That is, to know you're dreaming while you're dreaming and control the dream. Some techniques can train this: keeping a dream journal, doing reality checks during the day, or trying memory exercises. For some, lucid dreaming is an opportunity for creativity, even healing. But for most, the important thing isn't to control dreams, but to understand the subtle messages they bring. Over many years of work, I've realized that mood and sleep are like two sides of an equation. Anxiety and depression cause insomnia, and insomnia deepens the mental black hole. A depressed patient told me, every night I dread my bed because I know I'll be awake all night. We started with small steps, changing evening routines, trying CBTI combined with psychotherapy. Gradually, sleep returned, and with it, a glimmer of hope. Some other methods are also worth mentioning. Sleeping pills. Many view them as a savior, but in reality, they are only a short-term solution. They can help you through a crisis, but in the long run, medication doesn't reteach the body how to sleep. Melatonin, the hormone of darkness, can help those with circadian rhythm disorders, such as jet lag, but it's not a universal sleeping pill. And then there are seemingly strange therapies. ASMR, whispered sounds, gentle tapping, or rustling, which make some people relax and fall asleep. Probiotics gut microbes are also being researched for their connection to the brain and sleep. Hypnosis is also a tool, helping insomniacs relearn how to relax through gentle suggestion. Regardless of the method, the core remains: you cannot force sleep. You can only clear the path for it by adjusting your mind and body, from yawns, breath, hormones, movement, to dreams. Every detail participates in the symphony. When you learn to listen and harmonize, sleep will come naturally, like a loyal friend. Part 5, Lifestyle. Some people believe that sleep is a continuous block, a solid 8 hours, and any interruption means poor sleep. But in truth, human history tells a different story. Naps, segmented sleep, even multiple sleeps throughout the day were once common in many cultures. In medieval Europe, there's evidence that people had a first sleep and a second sleep. They would go to bed at dusk, wake up at midnight to work, and then sleep again until morning. So good sleep doesn't just come in one form. What's important is whether you feel restored when you wake up. That leads us to a familiar question: sleep debt. Can you pay back after nights of sleep deprivation? Some stay up late during the week, then sleep in for 12 hours on the weekend. What's the result? Partially, the body recovers, yes, but the circadian rhythm gets completely thrown off. You sleep late, wake up at noon, and then by Sunday evening, you're tossing and turning. That's social jet lag, like constantly moving through multiple time zones just by changing your sleep schedule. A better approach is to try to maintain a stable rhythm, and if you must catch up on sleep, add a little extra in the morning instead of disrupting your whole day. And then there are those afternoons that make you want to nod off naps. Some consider them a luxury, others see them as a disruptor of nighttime sleep. In reality, a short nap, 20-30 minutes, can be a wonderful remedy, restoring alertness and improving memory. But if you nap too long, you'll fall into deep sleep, and when awakened, your body will be in a state of grogginess called sleep inertia. And that night, you'll find it harder to fall asleep. So napping isn't bad if you know when to stop. There are also times when you sleep more than usual, 10, 11 hours, but wake up feeling heavy. Many patients complain, "Why do I feel more tired the more I sleep?" The answer is that you've disrupted your circadian rhythm. When you sleep too long, your body gets out of sync, like flying through a different time zone. Additionally, sometimes excessive sleep can be a sign of depression, vitamin deficiency, or an underlying medical condition. But it's not just sleep rhythms, the living environment also has a say. Remember the last time you traveled to high mountains? Perhaps you found it harder to sleep, waking up multiple times. That's because thinner oxygen makes your body breathe faster, disrupting the peacefulness of sleep. Conversely, some people say they sleep better in high altitudes due to the stillness and fresh air. Each person's body reacts differently, but the common thread is that altitude changes how the body operates at night. Another common question: why does the biological clock sometimes go out of sync? Have you had nights where you suddenly couldn't sleep for no clear reason? This could be due to light disruption, changes in routine, or simply your body's internal cycle shifting. For shift workers, this disruption is even more severe. Their bodies are forced to stay awake late at night when the brain wants to sleep, then try to sleep during the day when light promotes alertness. The result is insomnia, fatigue, and a higher risk of cardiovascular disease, diabetes, and obesity. Many nurses, factory workers, and long-haul truck drivers have told me they feel their bodies are permanently out of sync. Is it possible to reset the biological clock to run earlier or later? Partially, yes, thanks to light, habits, and sometimes melatonin. If you want to go to bed earlier, expose yourself to daylight in the morning and avoid blue light in the evening. If you want to go to bed later, do the opposite. But importantly, you cannot completely change yourself from a night owl to a morning lark. Your chronotype, your biological rhythm, is partly programmed in your genes. You can shift it slightly, but you can't force your body to go against its nature. Looking at all these factors, it's clear that sleep doesn't exist in isolation. It's tied to your lifestyle, to the small daily decisions: how you nap, how you manage shift work, how you schedule catch-up sleep. And each of these details can support or sabotage a night and evening. You might eat a heavy meal, drink a glass of wine, and think you'll sleep well, but your body tells a different story. Food and drink impact sleep more strongly than you imagine. There are foods that truly help, like warm milk, bananas, almonds. They are rich in tryptophan and magnesium, helping the body produce serotonin and melatonin. But there are also things that rudely disrupt. Spicy food can cause acid reflux. Sugar causes blood sugar to spike and then crash, leaving the body restless and uncomfortable. Then there's caffeine, the biggest enemy of modern sleep. People often think they just need to avoid coffee after dinner. But the truth is, caffeine can stay in the body for 6-8 hours, sometimes even longer. A cup of espresso at 3 p.m. can still be lingering in your brain at 11 p.m. The mechanism is clear. It blocks adenosine, the sleep-inducing substance that accumulates throughout the day. So the hourglass still fills, but you don't realize it. Many patients say, "I can drink coffee in the evening and still sleep." That might be true, but the quality of sleep is compromised. Less deep sleep, less REM, and you wake up feeling more sluggish. Coffee doesn't just steal sleep, it steals the most nourishing part of sleep. Some turn to multivitamins, hoping they'll help them sleep well. The evidence is not yet clear. Some nutritional deficiencies, like low vitamin D or B12, can affect sleep. But taking a daily multivitamin is not a magic key. Instead, a balanced diet rich in vegetables, whole grains, and fish will support sleep more sustainably than any pill. And alcohol, the sweet betrayer. It's true that a glass of wine can make you fall asleep faster, but that's just a trap. Alcohol disrupts the REM cycle, fragmenting sleep. You're more likely to wake up in the middle of the night, and alcohol can even increase the risk of sleep apnea. And the next morning, it leaves you tired. A patient once said, "I drink to sleep, but it just gets worse and worse." Indeed, alcohol is not a companion, it's a silent thief. The current trend is to turn to CBD, extracted from cannabis, as a sleep aid. Many report feeling more relaxed and falling asleep more easily, but scientific evidence is still limited and not clear enough. Some small studies suggest benefits, but it cannot yet be considered a universal solution, and let's not forget this industry is still young. Products on the market are often not standardized, making dosage hard to guarantee. Another substance less talked about but with a strong impact: nicotine. Smokers often think a cigarette helps them relax, but nicotine is actually a stimulant that increases heart rate and alertness. Many smoke before bed, then wonder why their night is short, their sleep restless, and the next morning they have to smoke to feel awake. A tightening cycle. Beyond what we put into our bodies, there are external rituals. For example, a warm bath before bed. The temperature rises, then falls afterward, which signals the body to prepare for sleep. Or using essential oils like lavender or chamomile, not miracle cures, but they can create a gentle atmosphere, helping the brain associate the bed with a sense of safety. Then there's late-night eating. Many complain about eating dinner at 10 p.m. and then tossing and turning all night. Indeed, when you eat late, your body is busy digesting instead of resting, especially with heavy, greasy, or spicy foods, which can cause reflux and disrupt sleep. Ideally, let your stomach have a few hours of relaxation before bed. Interestingly, many people find they sleep better on vacation, partially because they escape work pressure, partially because they spend more time outdoors. Sunlight resets the biological clock, and also because on vacation, they allow themselves to relax, not watching the clock, not forcing anything. Sleep comes more naturally when we stop trying so hard to control it. All these details, from the late afternoon coffee to the comfortable pillow on vacation, are pieces that make up the puzzle of sleep. You might think they're small, but put together, they determine whether you have a peaceful night or not. Have you ever flown across multiple time zones and realized your body no longer belongs where you are? People call that jet lag, a phenomenon where the biological clock is out of sync. Your body still clings to the old time zone, while the sun in the new place has already risen high or set. You feel sleepy in the middle of a meeting or wide awake at midnight. Jet lag is like a silent rebellion of the biological conductor who hasn't had time to adjust the orchestra to the new melody. The solution isn't to resist, but to guide. When you arrive at a new place, expose yourself to sunlight as much as possible. Light is the strongest signal for the biological clock to adjust. If you need to shift your body earlier, seek morning light. If you need to shift later, welcome afternoon light. Eat at local times. Limit long daytime naps. And if needed, a small dose of melatonin at the right time can help the body shift phases faster. But above all, you need patience. The body doesn't like to be forced. It needs time to synchronize with the planet. Meanwhile, there's a group of people who live with jet lag every day. Shift workers, night doctors, nurses, factory workers, long-haul drivers. They are the ones who keep society running while the rest are asleep. But the price they pay is steep. When forced to work at night, they go against the basic design of humanity. The brain wants to sleep when it's dark, but they have to be awake. And when the sun rises and society is noisy, they have to force themselves to sleep. Many studies have shown the consequences: increased risk of cardiovascular disease, diabetes, obesity, and depression. I once met a nurse who said, "After 10 years of night shifts, I feel like I've aged twice as fast." That's not just a feeling. Science proves that circadian rhythm disruption stresses cells more, and the aging process accelerates. Is there a way for shift workers to mitigate the damage? Yes, but it's not perfect. Maintain a regular sleep schedule even on days off. Create a dark, quiet, cool bedroom. Avoid caffeine at the end of a shift and take short naps if needed. Some use blue light blocking glasses when they get home in the morning so their brain doesn't think it's daytime. These things are like patching up a torn fabric. They don't make the fabric new, but they help you endure longer. The irony is that modern society creates technology, artificial light, supersonic planes, and these very things disrupt humanity's root rhythm. But that same society also seeks to cure it, from light alarm clocks to sleep tracking apps, melatonin. Technology can help, but it cannot replace fundamental laws. Humans are born to live by the sunlight. There's a thought-provoking paradox. The busier we are, the more we neglect sleep. While sleep itself is the foundation for us to work, create, and love. We drink coffee to work more, drink alcohol to lull ourselves to sleep, and then use technology to measure the sleep we've distorted. But if we stop, take a breath, we'll see that sleep doesn't need to be that complicated. It just needs a respected body, a rhythm with space, a little light at the right time, and darkness in the right place. So instead of looking for new tips, let's return to the simple things. Go to bed regularly, let your body meet the sun every day, eat harmoniously, and let sleep come as a natural reflex. Because ultimately, no lifestyle is more luxurious than one that cherishes sleep. Part 6, Sleep Environment. When you think about sleep, you probably imagine it as a story of brain, hormones, or circadian rhythm. But the truth is, sleep is also a story of space of walls, mattresses, windows, and the moonlight outside. The sleep environment is like a stage. You can't have a good play if the set isn't built correctly. The first question is always, how do you turn your bedroom into a sanctuary for sleep? The answer isn't in luxury, but in minimalism. The bed is for two things: sleep and intimacy. When you turn it into an office, a dining room, a movie theater, you're sending mixed signals to your brain. This place is for work, for worrying, for relaxing. The result is that the brain no longer recognizes the bed as an absolutely safe place to rest. Declutter, reduce electronic devices, create a warm and peaceful feeling. That's the first step to linking the bed with sleep. Interestingly, winter makes many people sleep more. When days are short and light is scarce, the body secretes melatonin earlier, and you feel sleepier. Some find themselves sleeping 9–10 hours and still not feeling satisfied. This isn't a pathology but a natural response of the body to light. The cold and darkness are an invitation to sleep. Problems only arise when this increased sleep turns into fatigue. At that point, you need more daylight exposure and outdoor activity so your circadian rhythm doesn't fall into a prolonged state of sluggishness. What about the full moon? Many people claim they sleep poorly on full moon nights. Science has recorded some evidence. During a full moon, people take about 20 minutes longer to fall asleep, and total sleep time shortens slightly. Perhaps the moon's light affects the circadian rhythm, or it's an evolutionary legacy. Our ancestors were once more vigilant when nights were bright because they were more easily detected by predators. Whatever the reason, many still feel the full moon is a silent disruptor in this era. Nothing causes more debate than blue light from screens, phones, tablets, TVs. All emit blue light, which has the strongest effect on the biological clock. When you look at a screen in the evening, your brain receives a signal that it's still daytime and delays melatonin secretion. The result is difficulty falling asleep, even if the clock shows it's almost midnight. Many try wearing blue light blocking glasses or activating night shift modes. But the most fundamental solution is still to turn off screens at least an hour before bed. allowing true darkness to return. And then we enter the world of physical objects, mattresses and pillows. People often ask, which type is best? In reality, there isn't one best for everyone. What matters is its suitability for your body. A mattress that's too hard can cause back pain, too soft can make your spine sag. The same goes for pillows. High or low depends on your sleeping position. One patient of mine suffered from chronic insomnia, believing she had a serious illness. After changing her pillow, she slept well again. Sometimes the solution is right under your head. Recently, weighted blankets have become a trend. These heavy blankets create a feeling of being hugged, helping the body release serotonin and calm the nervous system. For some anxious individuals, weighted blankets genuinely provide deeper sleep. However, they're not suitable for everyone. Some find them heavy and suffocating. Like any tool, it's a personal choice, not a miracle. What about bed placement? Some believe in feng shui, others rely on logic. Scientific research hasn't clearly proven that the direction your bed faces directly affects sleep, but the feeling of safety is real. Many people sleep better when their bed is against a wall, from where they can see the bedroom door. A sense of control over the space can determine peace of mind, and peace of mind is the foundation for sleep. Seemingly trivial, but an open or closed window can also determine a long night. Some only sleep well when a breeze comes through the crack in the door. Others need completely sealed air. Biologically, sleep is supported when the room has cool, fresh air. Good oxygen circulation helps stabilize breathing and nourishes the brain evenly. But for those living in noisy cities, opening a window might bring in car sounds, horns, and dust. There's no absolute rule. You need to find your own balance of silence, coolness, and a sense of safety. If there's one number scientists agree on, it's the ideal bedroom temperature. Our bodies lower their temperature a few degrees when falling asleep. So a room that's too hot will confuse the brain, while a room that's too cold will make the body stiffen. Research shows that around 18-20 deg C, 64-68 deg F is optimal for most. But again, numbers are just a frame of reference. Some like it icy cold, like a Scandinavian winter. Others need a little warmth to avoid feeling isolated. Then there's the question of what to wear to sleep. Some can't do without long-sleeved cotton pajamas, others are accustomed to sleeping naked. Physiologically, the important thing is to keep the body airy, allowing sweat to evaporate easily and preventing excessive heat retention. Loose-fitting clothing made of cotton or silk is often a good choice. But above all, you need to wear something that makes your body feel comfortable and safe. I once met a middle-aged woman who felt cared for whenever she wore silk pajamas, and thanks to that, she slept deeper. For her, sleep was not just biology but also a ritual of self-love. Another controversial topic: should pets sleep in the bed? Many claim that the presence of a dog or cat makes them feel secure, less lonely. A gentle touch of a cat's paw or the soft breath of a dog helps them drift off. But many complain that pets squirm, take up space, and even wake them up multiple times. Scientifically, sleeping with pets can make sleep less stable, but emotionally, that price is sometimes acceptable. Sleep, after all, is not just about hours, but about feeling. The next question: should you listen to anything while in bed? Some swear that soft music, rain sounds, or white noise are bridges that lead them into sleep. Regular sounds help mask unexpected noises, the enemies that trigger the brain's alert mode. But others find music makes them more awake. My advice: try it. And if you find a sound that brings a sense of safety, use it. But don't wear headphones all night. Your ears also need rest. In the age of technology, many turn to sleep trackers, smartwatches, wearables, phone apps. All promise to give you sleep metrics. But the question is, does that data help you sleep better? Research shows sleep trackers can monitor heart rate, movement, even snoring. But they can't be as accurate as an EEG machine in a lab. What's more dangerous is that many become obsessed with the numbers, worrying that they're not sleeping enough, and that very worry causes more insomnia. I call this the paradox of technology. It promises to bring sleep, but sometimes steals it. There's another classic ritual: reading before bed. Many ask me, does reading make me more awake? The answer depends on what you read. A thrilling novel can stimulate your brain like a cup of coffee, while a gentle, familiar book can be like a lullaby. Reading also helps you avoid phone screens and blue light. The issue isn't whether to read or not, but what you choose to guide your mind to sleep. And then there's a mystery. Why do I easily wake up to small noises while my partner sleeps soundly? The answer lies in individual differences in waking thresholds. Some brains are sensitive to stimuli, easily awakened. Others are like they have a filter, ignoring faint sounds. Gender hormones, even life experiences can play a role. I once worked with a new mother. Just a faint cry from her baby would make her jump up while her husband slept soundly beside her. Her body had programmed itself for that vigilance. Sometimes, love itself is the reason for fragile sleep. In millions of homes, every morning an unapologetic intruder rings, the alarm clock. But have you ever wondered what makes the best alarm? Many use harsh, jarring sounds that make the heart pound, the brain panic, carrying the lingering stress through the day. Others try gentle music or gradually increasing melodies. Recently, light-based alarms, simulating sunrise, have become popular, helping the brain wake up more gently, following the mechanism of light regulating the biological clock. Whatever you choose, remember that waking up shouldn't be a violent tug from a dream, but a gentle transition. Another seemingly simple question reveals a lot about human relationships. Should couples go to bed at the same time? For some, going to bed with their partner is an intimate ritual that increases bonding. But for couples with misaligned rhythms, one a night owl, one an early bird, this can easily lead to tension. One might lie awake waiting for the other. Another might be woken up when their partner clatters into bed late. Science doesn't require two people to go to bed together. What's more important is that both feel respected. One person can go to bed first, the other follow, as long as no one is abandoned in their own routine. The core message of this entire section is that sleep comes more easily when the environment whispers an invitation, rather than forcing it. A cool bedroom, just dark enough, just quiet enough, suitable bedding, familiar rituals. All these things, like puzzle pieces, come together to send a message to the brain. It's time to rest. You are safe. Remember, you can't force yourself to sleep, but you can clear the path for sleep, just like preparing a party. You can't force guests to come, but if the room is bright, the food delicious, and the music gentle, guests will arrive naturally. Sleep is the same. It will visit when you create a welcoming home for it. I once asked a long-time insomniac patient, "Have you ever tried making your bedroom your favorite place in your house?" She was silent. Then she started changing her mattress, clearing out electronics, hanging thick curtains, placing a few small plants. A few months later, she smiled and told me, "Now I look forward to the evening. My bed is no longer a place of failure, but where I find peace." And that is the profound meaning of caring for your sleep environment. Not just to sleep better, but to reconcile your relationship with the night. When the night is no longer a fear but a shelter, you will find the rest your body has always craved. Part 7, when sleep becomes disordered. There are nights when you lie awake, staring at the ceiling, wondering what's happening to you. Sleep, by nature, should be a peaceful harbor. Why does it become a battlefield? When sleep deviates from its orbit, it doesn't just make you tired the next day. It permeates every corner of your life: health, mood, memory, even seemingly small decisions. Let's start with the biggest question. Does chronic sleep deprivation harm overall health? The answer, sadly, is yes, and more than you imagine. Long-term sleep deprivation is like draining your phone battery every day without ever fully charging it. Initially, you're just a little sluggish, but gradually every system in your body is affected: cardiovascular, immune, hormonal, brain. Sleep-deprived individuals have a higher risk of heart disease, diabetes, and obesity. If the body isn't allowed enough rest, it rebels by malfunctioning. I once met a businessman who boasted he only needed 4 hours of sleep a night, but after a few years, his body betrayed him. High blood pressure, anxiety, memory impairment. Sleep is not a luxury, it's a condition for survival. Some complain, "I've always had trouble with sleep since I was a child. Do I have a disease?" The truth is, maybe yes, maybe no. Some people carry genetic factors that make them prone to insomnia. Others suffer from specific disorders like anxiety, depression, or circadian rhythm disorder. But sometimes, the very fear of having a disease makes it even harder to sleep. Every failed night is new evidence for the mind that something is wrong. That vicious cycle is only broken when they learn to see sleep as a skill that can be trained, rather than an unchangeable fate. Another dangerous aspect: sleep deprivation impairs judgment. You might think you're fine, but your brain has already slipped off track. Research shows that sleep deprivation affects the prefrontal cortex, the region responsible for decision-making and behavioral control. A sleep-deprived person might feel more confident but make reckless choices. I remember a truck driver who once shared, "I felt alert, but then suddenly realized my truck had drifted out of its lane." That's the brutal truth. When you're tired, your brain doesn't give you clear warning signals. It silently guides you into dangerous situations. So, what's the minimum amount of sleep needed for the body to function well? There's no single number for everyone, but most adults need 7-9 hours. There are short sleepers, people who genuinely thrive on 5-6 hours, but they are rare. The problem is, many people categorize themselves into that group, when in reality their bodies are exhausted. A simple test: if you wake up feeling refreshed without an alarm, it means you've had enough sleep. If you constantly need coffee and yawn all day, it means your body is still demanding more rest. A strange but common phenomenon: micro-sleep snaps that last only a few seconds. You might be sitting in a meeting, suddenly blink a bit longer, and in that moment, your brain has partially shut down. More dangerously, micro-sleeps can occur while driving. In just 3 seconds, your car can travel hundreds of meters without anyone in control. Serious accidents happen in that silent lapse, when the body is forced to steal a few seconds of sleep. This means you're sleep-deprived to an alarming extent. This leads to a deadly question: how dangerous is drowsy driving? Studies show that a sleep-deprived person's reflexes are comparable to someone who is drunk: blurred vision, reduced attention, slow decisions. Accidents due to drowsiness are not as noisy as those due to alcohol, but the consequences are equally devastating. The problem is, society pays less attention to it. People proudly drive all night without realizing they are risking their own lives and those of others. And then there's a fear that haunts many: does sleep deprivation cause Alzheimer's? Science is revealing a worrying connection. During deep sleep, the brain performs a wash process, clearing out beta-amyloid proteins, a culprit linked to Alzheimer's. If deep sleep is constantly cut short, these toxins gradually accumulate. This doesn't mean a few sleepless nights will cause the disease, but chronic, prolonged sleep deprivation can indeed contribute to an increased risk. Sleep, therefore, is a more precious preventative medicine than any brain booster. One of the most silent enemies of sleep is chronic stress. When you're anxious, your body releases cortisol, the vigilance hormone. During the day, cortisol helps you cope with challenges, but at night it becomes toxic. It keeps the body in a fight or flight state, heart racing, brain refusing to rest. The result is you lie there, tossing and turning, calculating, reminiscing. The less you sleep, the more stressed you become. The more stressed you become, the less you sleep. It's a vicious cycle. I once met a woman who was a manager. Every night, she would lie for hours, listing the things she had to do the next day. Only when she learned to write them down and put them aside could she find peace. Then there are stranger manifestations: sleep talking, somnoloquy. Some people blurt out fragmented sentences, sometimes even entire conversations, during sleep. They don't remember anything when they wake up. Sleep talking is usually harmless, but it can startle a bed partner. The cause can be genetic, stress-related, or occur more often when the body is sleep-deprived. I remember a 12-year-old boy whose parents laughed as they recounted how he would often lecture about football in his sleep. For most, sleep talking is just the brain's playful side, where language leaks out during sleep. But there's a more dangerous phenomenon: sleepwalking, somnambulism. Sleepwalkers leave their beds, walk around, and even perform complex actions like opening doors or cooking, all while their brain is not fully awake. They might appear conscious, with open eyes, but their awareness is absent. Sleepwalking usually occurs during deep sleep, especially in children. The problem is that sleepwalkers can put themselves in danger, falling downstairs, walking into traffic. The important thing isn't to wake them up, but to secure the environment. Lock doors, put away sharp objects, ensure safety. Another type of disorder involves eating at night. Some wake up with an irresistible hunger, go to the kitchen, eat ravenously, then return to bed almost unconsciously. The next morning, they have vague memories or none at all. This is called night eating syndrome. It can be linked to stress, hormones, or psychological disorders. The consequences are not just weight gain, but also feelings of guilt and shame. I once spoke with a woman who said that every morning when she saw cookie wrappers scattered on the table, she felt defeated by her own body. Understanding that this is a disorder, not a weakness, is the first step to finding a solution. Something few people consider: sleep deprivation and sex life. Insufficient sleep leads to reduced testosterone and estrogen. Libido plummets. The body is tired, and the mind has no room for intimacy. Many couples mistakenly think they have relationship problems when the root lies in short nights. When sleep is restored, they realize love never disappeared. It was just obscured by the darkness of disorder. And finally, a specific question: do visually impaired people sleep worse? The answer is yes in some cases. Because they don't perceive light, their biological clock is difficult to regulate, leading to disrupted day-night rhythms. They might feel sleepy during the day and toss and turn at night. This isn't a weakness but a biological challenge. Some visually impaired individuals are helped with melatonin or artificial light therapy to help their bodies find their lost rhythm. These phenomena, from sleep talking, sleepwalking, night eating, to decreased libido, show that sleep is not always gentle. It can become a wild territory where the mind and body engage in strange behaviors. And without understanding, people easily panic, blame themselves, or neglect it. But once viewed in the light of science, these disorders are no longer terrifying mysteries, but signals the body sends out, calling for care. In decades of listening to patients, I've learned one thing: when sleep is disordered, people often don't realize the severity. They think it's just fatigue, that they'll feel better tomorrow. But chronic sleep deprivation is like an underground river, initially flowing subtly, then gradually eroding the foundations. It steals memory, blurs judgment, shortens lifespan, all without a sound. Imagine you're driving on a highway. If you're drunk, the police can stop you. But if you're sleep-deprived, no one notices. And in a few seconds of microsleep, your car becomes a bullet hurtling aimlessly. That's why experts consider drowsy driving as dangerous as drunk driving. But society isn't aware enough. Many companies even encourage employees to pull all-nighters to complete projects, viewing it as dedication. They don't see that this very dedication can lead to deadly accidents the next day. At a more subtle level, long-term sleep deprivation even changes brain structure. During deep sleep, the brain flushes out toxic proteins. When this process is constantly interrupted, substances like beta-amyloid accumulate, increasing the risk of Alzheimer's. This doesn't happen in a week or a month, but over years. Sleep, therefore, not only determines the next day, but also determines your memory and identity in old age. But it's not just the brain, the body also rebels. Chronically sleep-deprived individuals often suffer from eating disorders, crave sweets, gain weight. They are more prone to heart disease, high blood pressure, their sex life grows cold, marital relationships become strained. Piece by piece, sleep is connected to every aspect of life, and when it breaks, life itself breaks down. So what can we do? The first step is to face the truth. Don't normalize sleep deprivation. Don't be proud of needing only 4 hours. Don't see sleepless nights as the inevitable price of success. Your body doesn't forget a single night. It stores, accumulates, and then one day it will collect its debt. The next step is to seek help. In some cases, simply changing habits is enough. Consistent sleep schedule, limited caffeine, turning off screens, breathing exercises. But there are also cases that require specialized therapy: CBTI, short-term medication, or treatment for underlying disorders. For sleepwalkers, ensuring a safe environment is crucial. For night eaters, a combination of psychotherapy and nutrition is needed. For the visually impaired, melatonin can help regulate the circadian rhythm. Most importantly, treat sleep with respect. Don't consider it wasted time in the dark. Your body is not motionless. It is healing itself, regenerating memory, preserving your very future. A man once told me after curing his insomnia, "I feel like I've been given my life back." Those weren't flowery words. Sleep not only made him less tired, it restored his clarity, his patience with his children, his gentleness with his wife, and his belief that he could still control his life. When sleep goes astray, you might feel like everything is falling apart. But the truth is, there's always a way back. That path might be long, it might require patience, but every small step, a changed habit, a more peaceful night's sleep is a signal that you are returning. And once you find sleep again, you also find yourself. Thank you for joining me to the very last pages of this book. I know that in a world teeming with noise, your time spent listening to a book about sleep and activity that seems mundane yet determines the sustainability of body and mind is not easy. This very patience proves that somewhere within you, there is still a genuine desire to understand yourself more deeply, to care for the life flowing within you. If the reflections here have sparked a light within you, however small, I hope you will leave a comment not to satisfy the author's ego, but to create a ripple effect. Your experiences and perspectives will help those who come after find a way to connect with this book on a new depth. It is the readers who truly complete the work through their reception and feedback. And I want to sincerely invite you, please suggest the next book you yearn to hear, to have decoded. Because after all, reading is like sleep. It's not about following a rigid itinerary, but a personal journey, sometimes unexpectedly veering into uncharted territories. Perhaps you'll suggest a book that seems unrelated to this topic, but who knows, that very unfamiliarity might unlock an unforeseen path. Now, let's say goodbye for now, and I look forward to connecting again.